now we have a very, very effective vaccine, and there are millions and millions of people who don't want to get it, and public figures are saying it's a very private and personal decision. Stephen A., I am sensitive to the fact that just because I may not be able to fathom what is personal or private about it, that would prevent someone from just saying, yes, I'm getting the vaccine, doesn't mean that there may not be a reason, just because I can't imagine what it is. But I just want to be very plain. I cannot imagine what it is. What I suspect it is, well, let me put it this way. There's no science supporting why you shouldn't get the vaccine. Not. There's anti-intellectualism. There's hocus pocus. There are people who think that they're amateur sleuths on the internet, and they're going to find that with their common sense, they're going to know more than the health experts. I want to say what Anthony Fauci, Stephen A., who's been somehow politicized by lunatics on the political fringe. This guy's been advisor to every president, since the 1980s. That includes Ronald Reagan and H.W. Bush, and recently Trump and everybody. If we don't crush the outbreak to the point of getting the overwhelming proportion of the population vaccinated, the virus will continue to smolder through the fall into the winter, giving it ample chance to get a variant. There's a variant, there could be a variant that's lingering out there that can push aside Delta, meaning more deadly, more transmissible than Delta, which is the big fear now. The point is to get out of this. Fauci points to the 93 million Americans who are eligible to get the vaccine who still haven't. We're all in this thing together. And obstinate nonsense, magical thinking, hocus pocus, anti-vax, anti-science nonsense has become extremely dangerous. So when a public figure like Kirk Cousins or Cam Newton says that's a personal, private matter, I'd love anyone to give me a single example of how that could possibly be true, because I cannot imagine what it is.
Now, I don't want to get into the weeds with you about this. I'm not going to call anybody that opposes Dr. Fauci lunatics and stuff like that. What I will say is that, I'm aware of the arguments that he and Senator Rand Paul, for example, have been getting into, and that's for them to debate, because Rand Paul, last time I checked, not only is he a senator, but I think he was a doctor as well. So,
not an immunologist.
I understand that. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I have no problem with questions. I think questions are important. I think probing and interrogating and asking questions and making sure that whatever mandates are handed down, people really scrutinizing it. I don't have any problem with the questions. I just want to throw that out as a little nugget, because for the most part, Max, I'm riding with you 1,000%. I'm going to go a step further. I'm appalled by what Kirk Cousins just said. I'm appalled by the fact that he's in a position that he's in and he would utter such ridiculousness. The reality of the situation is that we're going through a global pandemic. You have a chance of spreading it. Somebody may have spread it to you. That's why you were basically with safety protocols and away from the team for 4 days, which Kirk Cousins says is the first time that's ever happened in his career. I'm also siding with my brother Michael Irvin, who was on the record weeks ago talking about the Dallas Cowboys and how they could potentially be jeopardizing their chances. He said, I'm not about left wing or white or right wing. I'm about the ring. That's what I'm about. And the slightest thing that could happen here could take you out for a week, 2 weeks, or longer, and you literally could jeopardize your championship, your chances at a championship. I'm riding with Michael Irvin on that. And furthermore, I'd like to state this. I'm a proponent of the NFL. Of course, you got to collectively bargain this. We all understand that. You can't just mandate it. You got to work with the Players Association. But I'm down with them mandating that you be vaccinated or you not be in the league. You not play. And I'm going to tell you why. For those that would challenge me on this, Max Kellerman, in front of me, I have an article from the New York Times that was written, I don't know if it was, I don't even know if it's today or yesterday or whatever. Here's the deal. Here's what it says, Max. As many as 7 million federal workers are now required to show proof of vaccination under new guidelines announced by President Biden in late July. If they do not, they have to follow strict rules on mandatory masking, weekly testing, and social distancing. Let's also be clear. Why am I bringing that up, Max? Because do you know that when it comes to an employer, the short answer, can an employer require you to get the vaccination? Yes, they can. You've got Walmart, the nation's largest, I'm reading from an article here, nation's largest private employer, is requiring that a good chunk of its workers, an estimated 1.6 million, including those at its headquarters, receive vaccination. Here at the Walt Disney Company, Google, Facebook, Tyson Foods, Uber, or some of the other large companies are requiring at least some of their employees to be vaccinated. The NFL is a private industry. You know, you don't have to play football. You can go home. But when you have the opportunity to be vaccinated, when evidence shows that more than 99% of our population that is being hospitalized as we speak are among the unvaccinated, when you receive the vaccine and as a result, because of it, hospitalizations and deaths have dramatically decreased, and you take into account that we have certain segments of this world's population starving for a vaccine that we have at our disposal, free, right here, to the point where you got a concert last night or the night before in Atlanta at the Mercedes-Benz Dome, Kanye West. And literally at the Mercedes-Benz Dome, they were offering free vaccines, offering folks to get vaccinated at the event if they so choose. When you got all of that going on, because the Delta variant exists, and you're trying to prevent the spread of it, and you got folks that are walking around and don't want to be vaccinated, well, guess what? It's perfectly within my right, particularly as an employer in the private sector, to sit up there and say, you don't need to be a part of this.
100%.
Because if Kirk Cousins somehow, some way were to get this, he ain't going to contaminate some players. When you talking in the huddle, Max, you're going to be 20 feet away from them in the huddle?
Stephen
This is ridiculous.
100%. Everything you said was spot on. And let me just further say, you know the least vaxxed team in the league? What do we always say about quarterbacks, right? They're the CEO of they're the face of the franchise. Right. Is it coincidental? Maybe it is. I don't know. Is it coincidental that Kirk Cousins has this position and that's the least vaxxed team in the league?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Oh, by the way, Max and Charlie, just so y'all know, just read an article this morning. CNN announced that they have terminated 3 employees who kept showing up to work and were not vaccinated. He said they have been terminated. They are no longer a part. I just read it in the article
so
here.
Much of this, too, Stephen A., is is the information high quality or not? Do you trust the source? I just want to say about Fauci quickly, who we've had on this show.
Yes.
He is a trusted, publicly, politically neutral advisor to every president since Ronald Reagan, the Republicans and the Democrats, including the last president, the most recent president. He is the leading expert in the field, an immunologist. He is not a grandstanding politician who was once an eye doctor.
I'm not here to debate that. I'm not even here to refute it. I like Dr. Fauci. I appreciate his work. But there are others who would challenge objectivity, and they have a right to feel the way that they feel, and we'll leave that up to them to decide.
But no serious people in his field.
But this is a really good conversation. Hopefully everybody was listening because you both
you're an employee, you got a right. If I'm the NFL, I'm mandated.
100%.
Or you can't even play.
All right.
And the NBA.
Let's move on, guys. We got to go. Still to come on First Take, Jerry Jones' surprising words from yesterday's Hall of Fame pregame.